Here's our setup. Sorry, the production value on this will be pretty poor, but you know, what are you gonna do? Okay, so this is our cabin top here. I don't know if you have all this stuff labeled, if you have the same setup, but this is just kind of how we have it. So over on this side we have mainsail. I have the zipper on jib, so I don't actually have the jib line on here. I don't know if you have the hanked on one or if you have the zipped on one. If you have the hanked on one, you'll have your jib sheet coming through here. The second reef line that we don't rig, we've never actually used the reef. We probably should have, but if so, we would only use the reef line, the primary reef line, as opposed to the secondary reef line. Outhaul, Vang, Cunningham. Then over here we have the first reef, and then the spin halyard running through here. So spin halyard goes there, up to the block, and in through the mast. All right, and then lastly, the last two. The tack line clutch goes through here, and the pull out line goes through here. So if we are going through and doing rigging for the Spinnaker, first thing I do is just open up the clutch for the spin halyard, because we're gonna have to move that, and I open up the tack line as well. So the tack line is a longer solid black line that you probably should have, should come with the boat, and then that's gonna lead all the way forward kind of with your the speckled line is my furler line. So they should run up together through the eye strap on the top of the cabin, and mine aren't well led for some reason. They get a little twisted, so one of these days I'll have to undo them and rerun those lines, but that shouldn't be a big deal. So those come opened up because we're gonna have to grab the lines toward the front of the boat and stick them down the hatch. So we do all of our hoists and douses through the portal in the front, through the hatch. It's just easier. You do need 3 people to do it though. We have another setup that we use that I can show you sometime if you need to do it with 2 people. Basically what we do is we run a retrieval line from here in the back of the companionway all the way through to the tack, and then instead of doing a normal douse, you actually just pull in this secondary tack line that will allow the tack of the sail to come in, and you can actually just get it put in the companionway and throw it down there. Okay, now moving forward, the first thing I set up is the tack line. So we have the tack line is my solid black line. When we are storing it, so first off, it runs over the bow pulpit here, so make sure it doesn't go underneath it or get caught up there. It goes around through the fair lead at the end of the boom, or the end of the bowsprit, and then back here. So we actually just keep ours tight on here when we're not using it. So as I'm rigging it, I will just kind of untie that. And again, this has to stay inside the pulpit. And then I just kind of grab the end, pull it back, and throw that down the hatch for now. My Spinnaker's down there, and I will go ahead and tie that off in a little bit. Okay, up next is spin sheet. So your spin sheet would be red and green lines that are tapered. So take the tapered end and feed that through the back first. So through the block on the top, back to the block in the back, which is or should be a self-ratcheting block. There are, if you can see on there, there's actually an arrow for which way it would be when you pull it. So you want to go in to out if you have that on there. You should be able to feel it catch if you hold on to it and pull it. And you can feel the ratchet. So just make sure the line goes outside around the stanchion. So that's got to stay all the way outside if you're going to get it running cleanly. And then, of course, I got tied up back here with a little knot. Sorry, I hope this doesn't make you sick. All right. My production crew is still on her way. So around here, around the mast, and then back to the back part of the hatch. And I'll talk about why I kind of keep things back there when we start rigging the kite up. But in order for things to stay set up the way you want it to, you want to make sure that the tack line is in the front corner and that the sheets, both this one and the one that we'll run in a second, are around to the sides here. And then we'll bring the spin halyard down through here as well. Remember, all of these are going to go underneath your jib sheets. Okay, now back to the port side. Run that through your 2 blocks. Around here, again outside the stanchion. Want to feed underneath the jib sheet, and then go back again, kind of to the back corner here of your hatch. So now we have the tack line going through there, the starboard spin sheet over to the other corner, and now your port spin sheet over to this corner. Next step is going to be the Spinnaker halyard. So just make sure when you're rigging this up that as you look up, the spin halyard here is to the port side of your forestay. So I just have it tied here just for storage. So what I'll do is untie that here and go outside of your jib sheet, under the jib sheet into the hatch there. And I kind of leave it in the same corner there as the tack line. I have on my boat here a little Velcro strap that I can use to kind of contain the spin sheet so that it's out of the way of the jib when you're sailing upwind. So we always attach it there while we are sailing upwind. I got them from APS, obviously, since APS is officially closing tomorrow. You can't get it from them anymore. I don't know who sells them, but there's stuff out there, or you can always make your own. They're really kind of useful and good to have. So now we have here, we have, again, have our spin sheet, halyard, and tack line. Now we're inside the boat, getting ready to rig the Spinnaker up. So you can see again here, the way we have it, we have spin sheet, we have tack line, we have halyard, and then we have other spin sheet. The first thing I do before I rig up any Spinnaker on any boat that I am is run the lines. So what I'll do is I'll take the head of the sail and I'll put it over in one corner, and I'll trace either the red line or the blue line on the sail until I get to, and by tracing I mean I hold one hand and then constantly just feed along the colored tape until I get to either the clue or the tack, depending on which way I go. So I set it up so that I have the head of the sail in one corner where the spin halyard is. I take the clue and I put it on this side here where the sheets are, and then I'll take the tack of the sail and I will put it in that corner where the tack line is. So I'll do that right now. Okay, so now I have the Spinnaker hooked up. So I have the tack line attached to the tack up front. I have the halyard attached to the head over in the corner here. And then I have the 2 spin sheets here led back to the clue in the back corner here. So now when we go to hoist, first step that we'll do is extend the pole with the pole launcher in the back. And I'll show that in a second. We get somebody to grab the tack line and actually feed the tack of the sail out through the hatch and to the end of the bowsprit. And then once we're getting ready to hoist, we'll make sure that the head of the sail is free of the corner here. Sometimes it'll get caught up under here when you're going to hoist. So you just need to make sure it goes clear so that it can go up and clear the hatch. Okay, so then for the hoist, the first thing that we're gonna do is go ahead and pull the pole out. Since I still have it on the trailer and it'll actually probably hit the mast holder, I'm not gonna pull it all the way out. But then what we do is we go back here and we pull the pole line, or the tack line, so that we get the tack of the sail to go all the way into the end of the bowsprit as the bowsprit's extended. Once we're in this stage, this is where we're going to turn down to go downwind, and at that point we're just yanking on the spin halyard to get the head of the sail to the top of the mast. At that point you'll pull on the sheets and your spinnaker should fill at that point. For the douse, what we do, there's two different ways that you can do the douse. First off, while the tack of the sail is all the way out and the pole is all the way out, what you can do is get somebody up on the bow, grab either the lazy sheet, or if you're doing a if you're doing a windward takedown or a leeward takedown, you're still going to grab the lazy sheet. Use that to gather the sail in. Get the foot of the sail inside the lifelines so that it's laying basically on the deck, and then you can release the halyard so the sail will come down and it should all gather on the deck. And then at that point you can release the pole and the tack and gather all of the sail in down through the hatch. The way we tend to do it actually is doing all of the steps in reverse. So we still have somebody up front to go and douse the sail, but the first thing that we'll do is pull the pole out. So the person that's up on the front of the boat is going to grab the foot of the sail and gather as much of the foot as possible. When you do that, if you still have the tack closed and you have the pole open, what it'll do is automatically pull the pole in. Once the pole is all the way in, you're going to feel tension, and at that point you'd go and release the tack line. The tack line would release. The person that's collecting the sail is basically going to get the whole foot into their hands while the sail is still up. And basically you make a whole sausage of the sail. And at that point, once you have the whole foot, so the tack and the clew all gathered together, you can release the spin halyard and gather everything straight down into the hatch, and it should be there and ready to go for your next hoist.